There we go. What the heck? There we go. Why is this so... This needs to be slightly bigger. Huh. Okay. Got the 18Z. There we go. All right. All right. 18Z. Let's take a look at this. All right. What's going on? What's going on? Check, check, check. That's working there. Check, check, check. That's working there. All right, good. What's going on? That's the... God, I messed that up. How's the weather looking on Wednesday? Depends what you're talking about. No, Ohio should be good. Ohio should be good. This is interesting here. This is a little bit new, I feel like. Let's go into the Ohio Valley. What is my son crying about? These SIG programs over there in Western Kentucky are interesting, though. Interesting. Is this accounted for in this latest SBC update? Let's take a look. Oklahoma gets storms tomorrow night. Northeastern Oklahoma could get storms tonight. Tomorrow morning, into tomorrow morning, but well, let's look at the timing of this. Let's look at the timing of this. Let's just go into our reflectivity. Tonight, maybe. Yeah, you guys are looking pretty good, pretty safe. Interesting that they should probably expand this up here. This 5%. We've got, I don't know, maybe the, I don't know. Right here. This could be an issue. This could be an issue Sunday afternoon to Sunday evening. Let's see. So I'm looking over some of this again. Sector params high up there in Kentucky. Not accounted for in the risk zone. Definitely the most significant, though, right down here. Northeastern Louisiana into central Mississippi once again. Let's take a look at it. It's so bad in PA. I mean, yeah, you're skiing in late March in PA. Come on. Come on. Surface Cape is really good here. Shear's okay. SRH helicity is pretty low. Both of these events have really downtrended. I'm telling you guys, both of these events have really downtrended. That's good. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Is Chicago? Yeah, Chicago's good. Yeah, Chicago's good. You guys don't got much to worry about. Chicago is good. Let's get back into our reflectivity here. Kentucky, you see you got some weather moving through tomorrow afternoonish in Chicago, but it's not supposed to be severe. Your severe weather is going to be down here. We're not really seeing anything severe up here. Not at all. Let's look at our utmost unstable cape. You got no cape up there. Let's look at our dew points. Dew points. Sorry, dew points. Mid to low 40s. Yeah, you guys are okay. I guess dew points are a little bit low in Kentucky. That's probably why they're not extending that. That's probably why they're not extending this 5% up into Kentucky, because your dew points are a little low, even though your SIGTOR parameters are high. Yeah, well, late March into early April, we're going to see some big storms. These have really downtrended. Like I said, I'm not too worried about these. This weekend, severe weather, but we could see a couple tornadoes into Louisiana and Mississippi. We could see a couple tornadoes in this region. Maybe 5 to 10. I assume most of them would be EF0 or EF1. It's not impossible to get a SIGTOR in here, EF2+. But we're not expecting a major tornado outbreak here. And there's a chance it's a complete dud and we don't get anything. There is a chance for that. There is a chance for that as well. Why am I tired in the middle of the day? Coming down off my pre-workout. Do you think the bad weather will die down after April? No. I mean, late April, early May is the most active severe weather time of the year. May is the most active severe weather time of the year in general. Tornado-wise. One second, guys. Yeah, it's gonna ramp up in late March into April. I think we'll see more consistent severe weather, but May's usually when you get a lot more moisture and heat availability for these big severe events. What's happening in Seattle? You guys got a lot of moisture trailing in up there. Let's take a wider look here. Just some precipitation moving in. Shouldn't see too crazy of winds. You got a nice low pressure potentially bringing in some strong winds and heavy precipitation, though, as we get into next Wednesday, Thursday. And then another one following and another one following. This one right here that they have forecast out here, 974 slamming into the Pacific Northwest coast. Way out here, April 2nd. This could be a big disruptor, but we'll have to wait and see on that. This one's more likely to happen right here, this 982. Pushing into the coast this upcoming Wednesday, Thursday. You could see some high winds and some good high elevation snow and a lot of low elevation rain from this right here. This system. Tight isobars there. You're going to have some good winds pushing off the coast. Mess in northern Minnesota. Let's take a look. Yeah, I mean, you've got some of the snow doesn't really want to start piling up heavy until after this low pressure is already wanting to push out into Wisconsin. But the latest, let's look at the latest. Gosh, I don't know why. I don't know why I keep yawning. I don't feel tired. I actually don't feel tired. This is the latest Kuchera here. Ooh, and then another big one on the euro. So this one wants to drop. This weekend system wants to drop, you know, a wide 4 to 6, and then you could get up in northeastern Minnesota, north-central northeastern Minnesota, maybe somewhere up to a foot. Wisconsin as well could see some good snow. The euro does have a much bigger snowstorm though moving in down the road. This would be a bit. This would be a big. The major thing with this would be the ice storm out here next weekend. If this were to develop like this Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening, this would be blizzard up here, ice storm in the middle, and then severe weather down here. This would be a huge event, March 30th. So keep that on your calendar. March 30th, March 31st. That would be a big severe weather, blizzard, ice storm event. If the euro holds that look. Anything for Tennessee? I need a. Well, I'm trying to slow down on my energy drinks, but my body's begging me for one right now. Begging me for a nap. You guys are in this. Here you go. You guys are in this day 2 risk. Let me pull this up for you. You're in a day 2 risk. You are in a 2% tornado risk central to western Tennessee. That does include Nashville and Memphis. And you're in a slight categorical risk, which means you could have some hail and strong winds associated with the QLCS line as well. Squall line. Timing of this, let's really dig into that for tomorrow. Here it comes. You start getting some bad thunderstorms moving in Sunday morning-ish, around 9 a.m., give or take an hour or two. And then your main squall line starts really digging through as you get into late afternoon into early evening. So probably the worst weather is going to be moving through, though. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.-ish, give or take an hour. Tornadoes are possible, hail, strong winds. It's not looking super, super dangerous. We're not looking at this thinking it's going to be a tornado outbreak or we're going to see multiple like wedge EF2 plus tornadoes. It's looking like you could get an EF0, EF1 maybe, and not too many. So let's hope it remains like that. NTX, what's going on? I appreciate you. I went to school for meteorology. I went to Florida State for meteorology. I was there for 3 years and I didn't actually finish my degree. Some personal stuff went on in my life and I left. Kept studying meteorology. I've studied meteorology since I was like 7. I've been obsessed with it. I have an uncle who's a meteorologist. So I plan on finishing my degree. It wouldn't take that long, but it's about, having, time. It's about the money and then finding time. I'm about to have my second kid, and I have a full-time job and I do this. So I just have to figure out how to squeeze it in there, but I'll finish it. Should be, honestly, it's not going to be easy to finish it, but it'll be easier than what, when I was taking my meteorology courses at FSU, it was pretty hard because I was learning a bunch of things that I never heard before, but I've been studying it since I left Florida State for years, and I know so much more than I did when I was at Florida State, so it would probably wouldn't be too bad to finish it. I just know so much more than I did while I was in the major. I mean, I probably watched 4 or 5 meteorology lectures a week, a day, on my way to and from work. I just like keeping updated. I like learning. I really like meteorology. Sassy, what's going on? They do have a great program. The guy, Tropical Tidbits was created by a student in the Florida State meteorology program. Penn State has a good program too. Yeah. I'm seeing Texas is gonna. Let me see here. I'm seeing Texas is gonna get some rain finally. Can you zoom in for the week? So dusty here. Here, let's see what's going on in Texas. A little dry here. We're worried about some potential severe weather out here in eastern Texas Sunday evening into Sunday night, maybe early Sunday or Monday morning. So possible, but these are going to be scattered thunderstorms. This isn't going to be a big soaking event. Some people won't really get much. This is a big rain event for most of Texas out here, and this is looking like this is going to kick off into next, probably Thursday into Friday, and then maybe a little bit more on Saturday. So the end of next weekend and next weekend, you could get a lot of rainfall across Texas. And then it looks like there's some more to follow. I mean, let's look at what they're predicting the quantitative precipitation is on that right now. It's pretty good soaking. Dallas, Fort Worth area would miss out a tiny bit, though. You wouldn't get the bulk of it. But that's going to change. You know, there's plenty of time for these models to adjust on that time frame. You got a long ways to go. Yeah. They make you take your 2 years of, like gen eds and all that stupid stuff. God, that was so annoying. My first 2 years, I was just like, please get me into meteorology. And then I got into meteorology, and I really enjoyed it. Stuff happened in my life. I couldn't finish it at the time, but I took that third year, and I really did enjoy it once I actually, it's fun once you actually get into your major because you start learning about stuff you care about. We'll tell you, though, it's a lot of math. Math is my thing. I've always been terrible at English, language arts, history, math. I love. And so luckily for me, that part was okay. Passed all those courses, but math is you take a lot of math in your meteorology degree. People don't realize how much math goes into it. The thing is, like, models do all the math for you, but they want you to know how, what these models are looking at and what the algorithms are looking at to spit out the information that you see. You got to know how you got to know how it's applied, because then you get a deeper understanding of how weather works. Yeah, it's just so much everything. You basically almost get a math minor getting a meteorology degree. Guess I'll wash my car. I use Pivotal Weather mostly when streaming. Over winter, I used Weather Bell a lot because there's a lot of... I like looking at teleconnections a lot over winter. It can really help with your kind of mid to long range snow and cold forecasting. And there's some other and then panels and probabilistic, and there's some really cool stuff on Weather Bell. But, severe weather season, I mean, Pivotal Weather really does it all. Especially once you get down into 48 to 72 hours, and you can look at your NAM and HRRR, SIGTOR params, and your CAPE and all your dew points. And because right now we're in severe weather season, so I don't really need Weather Bell to me is a great, more of a really strong climatological site. It gives you a lot of really crazy climate information, whereas like Pivotal Weather, I just want to look at what our severe weather parameters are across the Central Plains and East in spring, and I can easily do that on Pivotal Weather. Do you have any takes on Radar Omega? Because a lot of people have been hating on it recently. I think it's great. I don't know why people have been hating on it. There's plenty of things I would change. Like, I don't know why they don't have, there's plenty of things I would change. Like, for instance, the only global that shows snow forecast, it's like you can't use it as... but it's called Radar Omega, not Model Omega. But, you can see the snowfall forecast or projections in the GFS global only in Radar Omega, and you can only see it as a 10-to-1 ratio. And then Euro, you can't see anything. And then with the satellite, if you go to satellite view and you're trying to look around the globe and even just look out into the Pacific and Atlantic to see what's going on, you have to select regions, and then it shows you little boxes of the satellite. And I'm like, there's plenty of sites like Windy, by the way, which probably makes a lot less money than Radar Omega, where you can just go to satellite mode and you can see the global satellite. There's so many things that so many other sites do that aren't as big as Radar Omega. And I'm like, I know they have the money and resources to just have a satellite mode where you can see the global satellite, or at least most of it. I know they have the money and resources to put a Kuchera snow model in their GFS or Euro, or even their short range models There's a bunch of weird stuff. Their radar also, their like composite reflectivity isn't as enhanced as it could be, and so there's some things that they could update. But like if I were to give it a rating overall as a weather app, I'd still give it a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's still one of the best live radar maps as a severe weather event's going on because of all of their features. They have like all of this, severe weather. You can like all the parameters and adjustments you can make to your app to specific to what you're doing in your live coverage is really useful. So it's still a good app, but there's like lots of weird things where I don't know why they haven't updated it. They say it's very slow and radars are off a lot of times. It's not slow. It's not slow. There's like no latency. Like typically when I'm on Radar Omega, it's super fast. When there's the problem is when there's like with this last weekend storm, with this what they called prolific severe weather, we had 100 confirmed tornadoes and over 100 and over 200 tornado warned stormed. Everyone and their mom wants to be a weatherman, and everyone gets on Radar Omega, and the servers get slammed. So with this last major severe weather event that happened last weekend, it was going really slow, and radars weren't updated, and it was crashing. But that's not because the app is bad. That's because their servers were overloaded, and that's something they need to fix. But I've never seen Radar Omega right now is more popular than it's ever been, so they're going to adjust for that. It's never been this popular. So they're probably I'm guessing they have a team who saw what happened last weekend and was like, all right, we need better and bigger servers. Like we need to be able to hold, you know what I mean? They need to be able to support more users at the same time. So a lot of people are using it for the first time when it's the most popular ever. So it doesn't have like the capacity, but I'm sure they're fixing that. Cause up until that, like storm last weekend, I almost never had any issues with Radar Omega. Is Florida getting rain tomorrow and Monday? Well, Monday we're going to see some potentially severe weather moving up into the panhandle. You can see here. We have a categorical marginal risk. Not too high of a tornado risk, but you could get EF0, EF1. That's into Monday morning, and then you'll see part of that, part of those thunderstorms move down into South Florida, but for the most part, it's not supposed to be too severe. You could see some severe weather down there in South Florida as we get into Tuesday morning as well, and then maybe some more popping up there Tuesday evening. So it's nothing like super severe wise though. Panhandle should probably pay attention a little bit. Yeah, their velocity radar is one of the strongest. Their reflectivity radar is garbage. I agree. No problem, Ember. I agree. What's going on, OJ? What is going on? Have I had no... Hold up. Have I had no one on my... I've had no one on my... I'm streaming on YouTube right now, too. I've had no one on my YouTube. Ember, I appreciate you. Team bracelet and a gem gun. Ember, I appreciate that. Thank you, Ember. In Wisconsin, waiting for snow tonight. Yep. Are you in central northern Wisconsin? You're not going to get any in southern. NTX, I appreciate you, brother. Let's see here. No problem, Ember. Thank you. That was very nice. What does Buffalo weather look like? Let's take a look this week. We've got some bad, not severe weather, but some not so nice weather moving in Sunday evening. Could be a little snow on the front end into mixing and rain. I don't think you're expected to get high totals with this. You're gonna be a little warm. You can see here through the weekend and the beginning of the week, you guys could get a couple inches there in Buffalo. Although sometimes you guys overperform. So we'll see on that. But you're not expected to get too much. For the most part, though, after this moves through you guys, this time it would be Sunday night into Monday morning. It's going to get cold, and you're going to have some pretty nice weather for a little bit. Maybe a little bit of snow on Wednesday, but for the most part, it's pretty nice. What got you into weather? Mine was an EF2 tornado I saw while riding my bike at 8 years old. When I was, I'm going to show my age here. In 7th grade, Hurricane Wilma, the eye of Hurricane Wilma went right over my house in South Florida. And then when I was in 8th grade, Hurricane Jean Ann Francis, the eye of that went over my house in Palm City. So I went through like the eye of 3 major hurricanes in a span of 2 years. Most people never go through one in their life. And I was like in the eye, not like in the eye wall, like in the eye. And it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, all right, what I wanted to do, and I had an uncle who was in meteorology. So I started talking about weather all the time. And all I would do was watch the Weather Channel every day and fall asleep to the Weather Channel. And then I figured out my uncle was a meteorologist. He was like, hey, you know, I'm a meteorologist in New York. And I'm like, what? And then he took me to his studio in New York when I was like 12 or 13. And I pretended to do the weather. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to become a meteorologist and I'm going to become a hurricane hunter. And I'm going to fly into hurricanes and drop barometric pressure readers and get all this data back to the National Weather Service and save lives. And it's going to be awesome. I love hurricanes. Then I went to school for meteorology and I almost finished my degree, but I didn't. But I'll go back and finish it. Life happens sometimes, but I'll finish it. I got time. Yeah. I didn't even realize that he was a meteorologist. He thought he didn't think that we would think it was cool or something, and then he figured out one day that I was super into weather. My parents were like, he doesn't stop talking about it. I was in a tornado. I think it was Hurricane Francis. There was like an EF1 that went over our house, and we know it did because it snapped all the trees in half and collapsed. Like, it just messed up our house way worse than everything else around the area, and it sounded like a freight train. But I've never actually, like, that was a hurricane-associated tornado. I think it was like an F1, but I've never actually, like, seen one in person. I've seen water spouts down in Key West. I've seen 2 water spouts while I was on a jet ski down there. A meteorology degree isn't the hardest degree you can get, but it's a lot of math. It is a lot of math. I mean, you're going to take... I had taken pre-calc. I had taken AP Calc and AP Trig in high school, and you know, if they're AP, they count as a college course, and they were like, nope, you have to retake it. So then I retook Trig, then I did Trig 2, and then I did Calc, physics, all the math, and yeah, and I'm good at math, but that crap is hard. The math is hard. I'm like, can't we just look at maps? But no, it's important. The math is hard, but if you're interested in it, you'll get through it. You know, once you're done with school, you're meteorologists really aren't applying the math they learn in school. We've got these models and calculators and all sorts of other, and AI and all sorts of other technology that does the equations for us, but they're going to force you to know the equations. Katrina actually went right over my house in South Florida, but that was when it was a Category 1. Well, made landfall as a tropical storm, strengthened as a Category 1 over South Florida, which is one of the only hurricanes in history where they classified it as strengthening over land, because we had our rainy season was so bad in South Florida that year. The Everglades was so wet that the hurricane just thought it was still over the ocean. The Everglades was just a big lake. So the hurricane didn't, and we're on a peninsula, so it had enough warm water and it was still pulling moisture off the Everglades. And so it made landfall on the east coast of Florida as a tropical storm, then came off the west coast of Florida as a Cat 1, and then went up and hit New Orleans. Yeah. So I went through Katrina, but when it was weak, we had a lot of flooding from Katrina, but there was like no winds for us. 2011 tornado outbreak. 2009 plus I've seen. Yeah, the 2011 tornado outbreak. Everyone knows about that. I love tracking weather. Have since I was a kid, but the classes were too hard and confusing. It's so, like I said, the math part is tough. And here's the thing about like a big part of meteorology is severe weather, right? Who cares if it's like light snow or light rain? It's like, it's not going to affect anyone that much. We really want to understand hurricanes, tornadoes, stuff like this. You're calculating no, the meteorologists don't even know. Everyone always talks about a parcel of air. No one even knows what a parcel of air is. Everyone goes, is your parcel of air warmer than the environment around it? Okay, what's a parcel of air? You ask any meteorologist, what's a parcel of air? They'll be like, how big is it? I don't know. How do you define it? I don't know. Just it could be this. It could be this. It could be a big mile wide. There's a lot of things in meteorology that aren't even understood. I mean, we just figured out about the MJO 15 to 20 years ago, the Madden-Julian oscillation. We still have almost no idea how it works. We kind of do. We know it's a big low pressure system cloudiness, moisture that moves. It's a seasonal event that moves from off the eastern African coast across the Philippines, triggering a lot of times a worse rainy season there. Then it moves over towards North America and affects our winters and summers. And we still don't really understand that. We don't fully understand Enso cycles. We pretend like we do, but we don't fully understand Enso cycles because weird things happen. Especially we don't understand Enso neutrals. So it's a very people don't understand how much we don't understand still in meteorology. But there's so many advancements happening right now, especially with like this AI learning and stuff. I think the next 10 years of meteorology is going to be crazy. I think we're going to have more advancements in the next 10 years than we've had in the last 100. In the last 1,000, I mean. I went through the eye wall in Valdosta with Hurricane Helene and lost everything. Oof, that's terrible. Damn, sorry about that. Yeah, Valdosta, Georgia down there. Yeah. I was covering that live, actually. I was talking about that as it was happening. I was like, oof, people in Valdosta. I was asking people who were in my stream. There were people, because I was covering that, and I had like probably like 10,000, 15,000 people in my stream at once. And there was a bunch of people in Valdosta being like, yo, it sounds crazy outside. I remember that. Well, in this day and age, you don't need to have too much, it can be a little scary, but the odds of getting hurt by a storm are you're more likely to getting hurt by weather. You're more likely to win the Powerball in most cases. Look at the March of 2019 outbreak that hit Lee County, Alabama. It was crazy. No, I know about that one as well. I do. Oh, you were? Missy, have you been following me for that long? That's cool. Growing up in SoFlo, I've been through a lot, but Helene was different. Yeah. The worst storm I ever went through, worst hurricane for me was Wilma. We were out of school for a month. We didn't have power for 2 weeks. We had like a bunch of trees that were like a canopy over our road in our neighborhood. There wasn't one tree standing. Our neighbor's car had a tree on top of it. We had flooding in our house. Our roof was destroyed. We had a curfew for like a month where you had to be off the road before 7 p.m. and you couldn't be on it until like 9 a.m. It was that crap was terrible. But everyone in the neighborhood every single night would go out and barbecue because we didn't have power, so we were all cooking on grills with gas, and we would have like block parties every night, and everyone got to know each other. So that was a good thing that came out of it. Let's see here. Appreciate the following. Any severe weather for Ohio? It's not looking like it. It's not looking like it. You're gonna get some bad, potentially some heavy downpours and some thunderstorms. This timing right up here, you would subtract about 6 hours. So this would be right around Sunday at, what's my math, 6 p.m. So Sunday late afternoon to Sunday evening. Most of the severe weather. Well, I really don't think you're gonna. There's really almost a zero chance to get any sort of tornado spin ups or even hail up here. You're not gonna have much cape, not gonna have much lift mechanism. It's just gonna be a lot of rainfall. So in the immediate future, we're not looking at any severe weather for Ohio. Yeah, Lane, that would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Message me, inbox me. That's something we could talk about. That's something I've talked about with Matt setting up in the future. So, we just want to we just want to grow our channels, and that'd be something really cool. What's going on, Feds? It's going good. It's going good. Connor, we trust. Brianna, I appreciate that. Tennessee. You're in a slight categorical risk, so you could see some strong winds and hail. You're in a 2% tornado risk. Again, I think the 5% is down here to the south, even though we do have some SIGTOR, some decent SIGTOR params through Tennessee. We don't have the dew points really through Tennessee. The saturation levels are a little bit lower. But as we push in, here's our timing as we push into Sunday, 9 a.m., really Sunday morning through Sunday late afternoon. That's your timing for a lot. I mean, really, let's say Sunday night. Let's look at our HRRR here. Let's look at our HRRR. I want to get this timing down in Tennessee. Let's zoom in. Here's some kind of discrete cells out ahead. This is really a QLCS. So, this is your main event that's actually happening a little bit, afternoon time, mid to late afternoon. And that's going to expand all the way through the evening hours, through portions of Nashville and then off into eastern Tennessee. Go back into my reflectivity. Just got your first job? Nice. I have so many jobs I can't even count them. I've had so many jobs in my life. Server, bartender. When I was little, when I was in high school, I delivered pizza. I worked for Hollister. I've worked at a skating rink. I've done hotel management. I've done bar management. I've done apartment management, commercial insurance. I don't even know, dude. I've done so many jobs. The Joplin doc was so sad. I cried so much. Being pregnant didn't help. It was. Although I'll agree with you, it was sad, Yali. I thought it was a bad documentary. There's way crazier footage online that they didn't use. There were way crazier stories that they didn't use. There was nothing really new in the documentary that we didn't already know. And documentaries usually dive deeper and pull out good stories and good footage that you haven't seen before. And I didn't like the way the timeline bounced all over the place. It was weird. I was like, okay, the tornado's in Joplin. Okay. And then they move forward and you watch for another 5 minutes and then the tornado's not in Joplin yet. I'm like, why are we going back and forth in timing? It should all be, you should be going at the same time. And then they started at the school and I was like, oh, this graduation is going to be a big part of it. They built it up and this is a true story. So, they can't lie, but they built up the graduation and then they just didn't talk about it again until the last 5 minutes of the documentary. And I was like, oh, okay. I just think it was a bad documentary. There was some very sad parts to it, but they could have done a better job. There were some crazy stories out of that, and it was a crazy event. Yeah, I just feel like they should have done it more justice because it's everyone knows about that 2011 outbreak, and everyone's heard of Joplin, and I'm like, oh, they could have done it. They could have done that documentary better. When is this moving through Nashville? Well, you can see this timing right here. This is kind of where it starts to look concerning. This is around 5 p.m. tomorrow. This can shift a few hours forward and backwards. So, never take it exactly on the dot. But so tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours, I'd be watching out in Nashville. Although, we're not expecting a major tornado outbreak. We're not expecting any really, SIGTOR, strong tornadoes. Hail's possible, wind's possible. In EF1 and EF0, we can't count out. We can't count out on EF2 either, but it's looking more likely like that if you're going to have a chance for that, it's going to be right down here in that little area. This is not looking like a super scary severe weather event, but there's still I'd keep your weather alerts on and understand what's going on in your area. Sometimes you get a surprise tornado out of these. Adam, I appreciate you. Yali and Feds, I appreciate you guys. I feel like I see the crazier stories here on TikTok than I did on the documentary. That's what I mean. Usually documentaries show you stuff and reveal stories that you're like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like, I was like, I feel like I've heard these. And the guy being thrown through the air was crazy, but the whole ice cream shop guy, I mean, good for him. Glad he survived. Was that the most interesting story that came out of Joplin? It was. I mean, everyone's story is interesting, but like, I there's so much to choose from in that. It's like it wasn't too engaging. I think it also could have been a little bit more of an educational documentary as well, which it wasn't really. So yeah, yeah, the ice cream shop one. I was like, I think I kept wanting to fast forward through that part. I was like, there was just nothing. It's just a normal story. He's like, I hid in the ice cream shop. Well, then he was like, I thought I was going. He said, I thought. What did he say? That the whatever had occurred and that God hadn't picked me, and I was like, the rapture had occurred and God hadn't picked me, and I was like, okay, this is just going off into the whatever. I was lost. The rapture happened. I don't know. I was lost. I was like, what are we getting into? We're supposed to be talking about Joplin, this major tornado outbreak and the Joplin tornado. And we started talking about, getting into his weird childhood things. I don't know. I was lost. I was uninterested. The guy, that guy who survived being thrown around, and then they showed his family at the end. Yeah. Even like the dude who was at graduation, like what was the story with that? What ended up happening at the end with him? I mean, I think he said he lost one of his friends, but like they didn't really dive into that. Was his family okay? Did he see it? Like there was a bunch of stuff where I was like, okay, can we elaborate? Isn't that what a documentary is supposed to do? Yeah. No, same Yali, same. I'm not one to hate on religion or people talking about that stuff. It's always been a part of my life, but it was just annoying. It annoyed me. He used his EMT training, but it was also pointless. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Neckett. When I say that, Jay Neckett. You're saying is that snow? This isn't snow. This is. Is that how you say it, Neckett? This isn't snow. This is the reflective, the HRRR kind of severe weather reflectivity radar that we're looking at right here, right down here. This does a better job at showing where we could see some tornado potential. You'll see it actually highlights areas. Here, let's like look at this. Let's see if you guys can catch it. Wait for it. Let's see if it's still there. Oh, is it gone? Hold up, guys. Hold up. Is it gone? One second, guys. Weird. Forget everything I just said. Next week is not looking fun. No, the end of next week and the next weekend could get active for everyone. Looks like some cells forming in Alabama, but SPC only has a 2% risk. Yeah, because you need more ingredients than just strong thunderstorms. The bulk of the highest dew points are going to be out here to the west, mostly in Mississippi, Louisiana, and eastern Texas. A little bit in Alabama. But the bigger issue, there's a few issues. Let's look at some of this stuff here. Let's look at our surface-based CAPE. There's a lot that needs to go right to get strong thunderstorms. I mean, our tornadoes. So let's look at what's not coming together in Alabama, which is good for your tornado chances. You see that CAPE collapse as it pushes into Alabama? Here comes the CAPE. What is CAPE? Just think of it as strong updrafts. If you have CAPE here, this is instability. This gives you the ability for strong updrafts. Convective available potential energy. more cape you have, the better, the quicker that moisture can rise and condense, typically, because you're going to have stronger updrafts. Cape kind of collapses before it gets out towards Alabama. Another thing we can look at is dew points. You got some dew points pushing up in Alabama. Again, watch them collapse as they get out there. You've got your mid to high 60s and maybe even pushing into the 70s dew points in Mississippi, and you don't really see that. You're seeing low dew points in Alabama. There's other things we can look at like helicity as well, but here's our SRH, our surface level helicity. Some okay surface level helicity. This is rotation. Is there rotation at the surface? Look at this. There is here. Look at Alabama. We don't have much rotation at the surface. Here we go. But by the time this gets here, your dew points are collapsed and your cape is gone. You need timing to be right with all of this stuff. So in that, taking all that into account, we can just cheat and look at our SIG-TOR params. You see how they collapse as they get into there? That's because of that. SIG-TOR param, your SIG-TOR radar here takes all that into account, and it says, hey, all of that's going on at the same time, like right here, northeastern Louisiana. That's why you see a effective layer SIG-TOR parameter of over 2.0. All you need is over a really near a 1.0 or over 1.0 to get an EF2 plus tornado. So we've got almost a 2.0 here. Fixed layer 1.9. We've got surface level cape at 1,700 joules per kilogram, which is good. The inhibition is fine. You don't have anything capped here. If your parcel of air was warmer than the atmosphere around it, cooler than the atmosphere around it, if this were going below this red line, then your thunderstorms wouldn't be able to break through the cap, and those updrafts wouldn't be able to break through the cap and then release that latent heat from that moisture rising. So a bunch of different stuff you can look at. This is pivotal weather. Cody, I appreciate you. Detroit, Michigan, we're not seeing any severe weather up there. I mean, you're gonna get some weather. Not much severe weather. Have you seen that post of the notes with the dates of the tornado outbreaks? It had March 15th. What do you mean, Fez? I didn't see that. Look at this, Detroit. Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. Lots of rain, probably not any snow. Probably some strong winds though. Some strong winds and rain moving through. Sorry, Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. Northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas, I think. Well, no, actually, Northwest Arkansas is an area of concern. Let's dive into there real quick. Northwest Arkansas is an area of concern. Let's go to our severe weather. Okay. Here we go. Let's look at the timing of this. Boom. Big explosion of thunderstorms here. Timing of this, 9 p.m.-ish tonight, give or take an hour. Some of these could be, you can see right here. Do you guys see this little line right here? That's this radar telling us, do you see that? You might not be able to. That's this radar telling us we're concerned about that cell at that time. Here you go. You see that? Long track potential, SIG-TOR potential. See it? So, yep, I'd have weather alerts on tonight. This evening, late this evening. You're not looking at crazy potential. You're looking at a 2% tornado risk. Not too threatening, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Have a way to get alerts and probably just keep up to date. Yeah, Pixie, no problem. That's smart. What's Idaho looking like? Doesn't this look like a man? Look, like a forehead, a nose, a mouth, and then a chin. Does this not look like... Look what happens if I put an eye here. And then some hair. Do you guys see that? Oh no, my ADD's kicking in. I don't know. That looks like a guy. You guys all know about the KFC, right? You guys all know about the chef. Who in here doesn't know about the chef? Slow weather day. Yeah, slow weather day. Who in here, slow weather week. Who in here doesn't know about the chef? The chef in the US, where it is. The chef cooking fried chicken. Okay. Get ready to have your mind blown. Chef hat. Okay, chef hat. Chef head. There's his nose and mouth. Okay. There's his eye. There's his chest. Okay. There's his pants. Arkansas, of course. Here's his legs and feet. Louisiana. And what is he cooking? Here's the pan. Tennessee. Some Kentucky fried chicken. I literally just outlined the states and added a dot here. For his eye. All you need to do is outline the states and add one dot. You can add a smiley face too if you want. How does it happen that the fried chicken is literally Kentucky? So now, Connor, don't show it again. I will, Feds. How does it happen that Kentucky is literally the fried chicken? You know what I mean? And when the sky gets gassy, that's what causes all the tornadoes in Oklahoma. All right, that's too far. Okay. Take away the fried chicken. It's a different take. Oh, no. Take away the fried chicken, and it's a different take. 1 second. I'll get serious in a second, guys. It does look different with no fried chicken. Okay. Killeen, Texas. Where is that? Let's take a look. You guys have no severe weather to worry about right now. You guys got no severe weather to worry about down there in Austin, Texas. Maybe some thunderstorms from this event. Let's push down there. Some little cells out here. You're not going to have these aren't going to produce tornadoes though. Very unlikely to. So if we push out a little bit farther, your guys are going to be pretty dry for a while. But as we get into late next week, watch this, guys. Texas. Nice low that's projected to move across the state, so surface low. Nope, St. Louis doesn't have really any tornado concerns over the next few days. Or really even severe weather concerns. You guys are chilling. Slow week. Guys, once we get into the middle, well, once we get into end of next week and next weekend, it will not be slow week. St. Louis, you are about to get a little bit of, you are about to get some thunderstorms, although these aren't supposed to be severe. You are in a categorical risk, I believe. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look. Do they have you in a marginal? I think you're just in a general thunderstorm. Let's go to our day one categorical. Yeah, you're just in a general thunderstorm. Marginals right out to your west, but strong, you know, thunder and lightning, some rain and wind, but nothing that's supposed to be severe. Okay, I'll take a thunderstorm, but I want a tornado. You don't want a tornado. Guys, I'm going to get off right now because I'm actually going to likely get on a little bit later. I'm likely going to get on a little bit later. So I think I'm going to get off right now, and then I'll be back on later. I posted a video today talking about the next 3 days of severe weather and the timing and everything. If I haven't answered your question, there's not much going on. The area we're watching for severe weather over the next 3 days is basically this region here, but there's no like super severe day. The most we have is a slight categorical risk. That's only a 2 out of 5. Still something to keep your weather alerts on. You can still get a decent tornado out of that. It's less likely, but it happens. So it's better to, like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. I would say tomorrow through this region is my biggest concern. We'll expand that just to be safe. But even then, it's not looking too crazy, which is good. South Carolina, nothing severe in your near future. Nothing severe in your near future. Next week, late next week's going to be a different story, but you're going to get potentially some thunderstorms moving through Monday morning. All right, I'll be back on a little bit later, guys. I'll be back on a little bit later. Maddie and Laddie, what's going on? Mikey, Mama 3, hi. Sorry I missed you guys. Yali, I appreciate that. I will be on a little bit later, guys. I appreciate you guys.